Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Weekly Sessions. And I would love to invite down our two guests that we have this week, Ernest Cook and Carlos Jackson with Fujitsu. Please come on down, to quote, what was it, Bob Barker? Bob Barker, right? So, all right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. This is it's kind of crazy to say it this way. It's our final ramp up to scaling new heights, which is exciting because it means we're about to all, I guess I'm leaving a little bit early, but we're all going to get together, have some fun here pretty soon in Texas, get to collaborate. And it's been a long time. It's been a very, very long time. You guys excited?
Very much so.
Awesome. So what I'd love to do before we dive in, I know you gentlemen, but I'd like to ask real quickly, Carlos, I'm going to ask you to go first. Would you please do me a favor, introduce yourself, tell everybody who you're from, then we'll go Ernest and we'll talk about his stuff, and then we'll jump back over towards some of your stuff, if that's cool.
Cool. Sounds good. My name is Carlos Jackson. I am the partner manager for ScanSnap here in the US for Fujitsu. So I always say I'm the point person. Anything that deals with that line of scanners, I'm kind of the first person everybody talks to. Excited to be here today. We do a lot in the accounting sphere. So really looking forward to getting to know more of you folks.
And I'm Ernest Cook. I run Better Idea Group. I've been doing QuickBooks and reporting and SDK apps for 20 years now. It's been quite a ride. Fun stuff that we do is we really try to empower other pro advisors with stuff. So on my slide later, it'll say that I'm a QSP, but I really gave that up a long time ago because I just found I would rather partner with somebody that's selling software than try to sell it myself. So.
All right, Ernest, I don't often get the chance to do this, but like you said, you collaborate and you work with a lot of different accountants. You help them with their development needs, and you help one of our very, very good friends with one of her applications. What's that called?
Oh, I don't know. The trial balance exporter.
And what does it do exactly?
Oh, man, it's the fastest, easiest way to get trial balance information out of QuickBooks.
Sarah, that was for you. I had to test them just for you.
That's right. Good thing I had that in my head, right?
Yeah, it's an ongoing joke. People that know, get it. Ernest has actually even helped me with my own application vendor sync, little queries here and there, everything else. So greatly, greatly appreciate it. I met Carlos first actually at Scaling New Heights. I think it was 2 years ago, right, in Utah. And we got the chance to kind of collaborate. And I got the chance to start playing with some of the ScanSnap software, or ScanSnap scanners. And they're great products. Great.
Say that 3 times fast, will you?
3 times fast, 3 times fast, 3 times fast.
Nice.
So we are going to jump in. I know I keep asking this of everybody. Please do me a favor. This week, I'm trying to see who's going, who's not. If you're going to Scaling New Heights, put it in the comments, whether it's Facebook, Zoom, want to know that. And Ernest, I'm going to jump in for us to kind of start talking about some of your sessions, if that works okay for you.
Sure.
And where's my button? Share the button. I need 4 hands. There we go. So you've got 2 different sessions that you're doing this year. The first one is your QuickBooks desktop reporting session, sure. Right? Can you tell me tell us what is this bad boy going to be about?
Yeah, at a high level, really. Well, first, let me just say I would be really remiss if I didn't say that a lot of this content is really tribal knowledge been passed down. Good number of the slides, I redid quite a few this year, but good number of these slides come down. So if you've seen merged presentations or if you've seen Chuck Ridgett did this a few years ago, really, tribal knowledge around what are the kind of the limitations of the QuickBooks desktop. And they're not necessarily because of software. So some of the things that I talk about are, just because it's an application where you're trying to put information in, that has ramifications on how you can get the information out. So we kind of explore a lot of that stuff. It's, like I said, tribal knowledge. And then I'm just trying to, add on top of that a little bit.
So I do have to ask real quickly, anybody, if you can, tag Murph, do whatever we can. We want to make sure he sees us. Murph, we need to connect. I want to bring you on to keep the community alive. I mean, you've been such an amazing, amazing part of this entire community and industry for so long. I officially want to invite you to come on. We got to figure that out and make that happen sometime soon. So what do you think?
No, super smart guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I'll go back to your stuff here, right? I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean, as part of my notes for like preparing this, I literally have all of his old session content from previous Scaling New Heights and just kind of plowing through it, just trying to consolidate and kind of update it for, like the latest thing people I'm sure have probably heard, 64-bit in QuickBooks Desktop. And that's a huge thing in some ways. In other ways, it's not a thing at all. So, we'll skim over the top of that. But obviously there's always changes and always updates and, trying to do some stuff around that.
We call it job security in our world, right? If they keep changing things, somebody has to keep fixing things. So, so I know as you kind of laid out some of the stuff from your session here, again, understanding knowing your database, which is, for me, that was an area that helped change my whole mindset of all of this. As soon as I started to recognize it's just a whole bunch of numbers in the sky as a pattern, that becomes that database. And if you manipulate, move it, do whatever you have to do, and then you do the accounting on it, that's really my whole secret sauce, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big goal of the Intuit developers is to make it easy to get stuff in, right? Because there's a huge amount of time trying to get information into the database. So to the extent that they can make sure that there's data integrity and reduce the number of potential errors by organizing the data in a certain way, that's really their fundamental goal in that. So we talk a lot about in the class and where that actually has ramifications. Like the next slide that you were going to pull up there, I'll talk about. I love this slide. Love that. Because this is one of those areas where it's a strength and a weakness all at the same time, right? So it's a strength because what they do is they'll copy. So I have a bill and I want to build this out to a client, and ultimately they take that information, they carry it forward, which is great, right? Because at moment in time, they bring that information forward. They have the exact text and everything. It's a constraint because then you can't go back to the original bill.
That's a good point.
Right. And so that's just like one example. There's multiple ones. We go through them all in the class, but in that particular case, it's, there's two sides of that. And the next thing we talk about is how are all of the ways that you can get information out, right? So there's lots of ways to get information out. I mean, desktops have been around for, 2 decades, more than 2 decades. So
since the 3.5-inch drive, or floppies, right?
I don't know anything about those. But yeah, I mean, so there's been lots of people that have, created solutions around getting information out. And we really talk about them, whether they're created by Intuit or created by third parties. We talk about all those ways. And I literally, one of my best slides, and I didn't bring it here on purpose because I want people to come to the class. Some good stuff. Yeah. It's really a pros and cons for every one of them with a great summary at the end that, kind of consolidates all that knowledge in one place. Like, here are your choices. And there literally are reasons. Somebody asked me on one of the forums, I put one of the other slides and they're like, well, what about, C data? What about QXL? And I'm like, fine. I actually have a subscription to QXL. I could show it to you on my desktop. I use that for a project. But to me, I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think it's, what are you doing? How are you, what do you need to use it for? You certainly need to pick one that you can be an expert in. Is one of the things I talk. I know that you're a C data guy, and there's nothing. I have been.
Hey, Carlos, actually, feel free to come back on with us, Carlos, my friend. Talk about another aspect of a way as an input, just to bring relevance back and forth, right? I mean, one of the ways we grab data, a little bit different than the database, but how do we feed the database? Sometimes it comes off of documents, scanning it, grabbing it, getting it in, and then you do stuff with it. So I know that you guys will talk about some of your software in the quick future here, but still, there's a correlation between these guys both being here at the same time is kind of the key thing.
And that's exactly the note that I put down when I was sitting here. I said, getting info in, and that's exactly what we do. So we're going to take that physical information and get it in through the scanner. And then you'll see in the software that we talk about as well. That's a way to take that information that's on that piece of paper and then make it actually actionable in QBO for you. So exactly, that's what we're here to do, is get that info in for you.
I know when we get to your section of it, one of the things I've always loved is your ability to sync to like Microsoft OneDrive and like different areas like that, which Ernest and I are both big Teams fans because we know what's better than Slack and everything else. Anyways, so we were talking about tool-based of the SDK, right, Ernest? There are all of these different programs that you could be using, but what it really, really comes down to at the end of the day, which is kind of what you're telling people, is you've got to pick one and you have to you got to learn it. You got to understand it to be able to do something with it, right?
Yeah, one of the bullet points, one of the bullet points on the summary slide talks about learning curve, right? So, and definitely some of them have much steeper learning curves than others. But so one of the things that I don't think I've ever seen anybody do this. So on the next slide, what we talk about is during the class, I've already installed all these tools, and let's walk through each one of them. And if you've got questions, I'm just going to show you how to build this one simple report in every one of these tools. And we'll talk about like the trade-offs, right, that end up happening as a result of doing that. And for whether you're doing QBAR or you're doing, a C data connector, using the custom reporting. I mean, QBAR custom reporting both come inside QuickBooks, right? Yeah. So there's a great use case for those from a cost perspective. Or you're using, a full data warehouse like Cube or Pingini, right? I mean, both of those, they pull all the information out and reformat it. So those things I think are ultimately really easy. But, like I said before, I've still got a subscription to QXL there's those cases where, trying to pull all the data out just may not make sense.
So one of the things I want to draw attention to is these programs we're talking about, everybody. A lot of the times, many people will think that we're only talking QuickBooks desktop. And some of them really focus onto that, but they're not just desktop. It's just as important to look into these different softwares for QuickBooks Online. And so I'd love to ask in the comments, to everybody, are you currently doing additional exports or grabbing data out of whichever platform you're in? Are you doing that to try to create better reports, better information for your clients? Yes or no? I'd love to find that out, and I'll follow up with the how afterwards. So, let us know what you think on that side. I could scroll off into Excel conversation here, but I will save everybody from doing that, right?
Yeah.
It also
That's a great segue right into, so I have two sessions. One's in desktop and one is very squarely focused on QBO as well, even though it's kind of a different theme, right? So if you go to, some of the objectives that we're covering there, we're talking about Power BI, and therefore we're talking about a dashboard. But as you can see down the road there, we don't just talk about Power BI. We also talk about how do you get information out of QBO. And there are multiple ways of getting information out of QBO, just like there are multiple ways of getting information out of desktop. And that knowledge doesn't really matter whether you're using Power BI or you're using Excel, right? It's the same kind of information, although this session is focused mostly around Power BI. I think, we start off with kind of the premise that a client or a pro advisor or firm really should be able to have their own reporting, right? Irrespective of what the platform is. So I don't care if you're on QuickBooks or Sage or
any of Xero, any of that stuff.
Yeah, right? NetSuite, Xero, it doesn't really matter. It's this premise of maybe you want to have your own reporting platform with your own branding and that kind of a thing.
Especially if you're a niche.
Yeah.
right? If you start going into a niche and you're able to really dedicate towards it, that's really, really important. And I'm going to interrupt you real quick because Hector asked a really good question here, which is, does Power BI have visibility into advanced custom fields and or tags or same API limitation?
Yeah.
And bottom line answer is,
I love
it doesn't
Hector.
matter. It doesn't matter any app. Intuit is not providing access. It is a locked door. They've thrown away the key. I think they're personally hiding the one for custom fields away from me. It's like somewhere hidden, so I don't ever get to it.
Yeah,
But
it's funny because I mean, as soon as you say, I mean, and I love that he references the API because the API really defines the connector for Power BI that goes into QBO uses the API. So if
what
it's
is an
not
API, real quick? Can you, what does API stand for?
application programming interface.
Okay.
So Intuit says, hey, you want to get information out, here's the way you can get this stuff out. So if it's not available there, it's not available anywhere. I mean, it would be great. Honestly, I think it'd be great if Intuit did a Power BI interface themselves, but the current one is written by Microsoft, so they're constrained very tightly around what that looks like.
Yeah.
And there's, I've had a lot of backdoor conversations with other people around some of that stuff, and
Back door, front door, every door. It all changes all the time.
there's plenty of challenges in reporting for QBO, right? That's really why I brought that up. But anyhow, so the premise here is you should have your own reporting platform. And we talk about a lot of the reasons why and some of the things that, might be a problem. And so this is like one example of how you can actually get started today. You go to QuickBooks Online, you get the connector of your choice, and you start creating, if you will, V1 of a dashboard. This is what it would look like. You get to build your own template, your own library. And in V1, it doesn't have to get any more complicated than that. Just hit the export to PDF, and there's your report, right? And that's great, right?
Is with the connector. So it's the connector, the way to do this, everything else where it's like live data, it's a little bit more involved, engaged, right? But if you're doing it, it makes it to where it becomes like you can do a quick update to get the reports, the graphs and such that you need specifically the way you want it, right?
So what's really great in Power BI, you can actually, so template is not just my word, it's their word, right? You can go literally create a custom template, open it up against a brand new QBO file, and it just pulls in that data, which is brilliant, right? So that's one of the things that I think is really good about it. Then when you go to phase two.
Well, the challenge that I see here is hey, we're creating this and it's still like that it's not an interactive PD, right?
Yeah,
so,
and that's why you get a phase two, right? After you kind of get your sea legs under you and you're more familiar with the platform and you understand, and then you can go, all right, now I can actually do this and I can publish it to their site, right? And then they can get the information in real-time information. And that's really cool. And as the bonus, right, in the bottom left is this. I don't think very many people use it or even know about it, but there's an excellent Excel connector that literally just takes that model and allows you to use it as a pivot table in Excel.
Is that Power Query or Power Pivot and that kind of stuff is what you're talking about?
No, this literally is a Power BI connector inside Excel.
That's cool.
So it's actually really cool. I was showing it to one of my clients for our product, Peer Comparisons, right, where we consolidate a bunch of information in the cloud. And so this guy wanted to see 8 different clients' data side by side. And so we created certain measures for him. So as an example, I have one of them up here, product margin. So literally he could see, we did the DAX formula for product margin. You can see all 7 of them side by side. You just drop a new measure in and, it was just like downtown.
So one of the things I also, at least that I grabbed from this, is when you're talking about like your record sets, everything else, we were touching base earlier. I've always thought one of the best things you can do is take your sales data, and then if you were to take your marketing from like a Google Analytics, be able to create your own custom graphs or dashboards to show like where did your spend go and how much did it generate in revenue would be some cool, crazy things you could get creative with, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? I mean, so when you get to, version 1, you're really just kind of replicating existing functionality. When you get to version 2, now, whether it's Google Analytics or like I have a dental practice who has, a line of business app, we pull in their information from them. I have a veterinarian who like has a very specific thing, and they want to see both the very detailed sales information in there, effectively a point of sale, together with their QuickBooks data. And like they can see it for the first time and they're like, wow, this is pretty exciting stuff. So we also talk about, from why would you choose Power BI, right? So there's a lot of really good reasons for it. You could use a product like DaVinci or Fathom or that kind of a thing. But to a large extent, I mean, I know that they pull in Excel data, so you can do a little bit of that. But
it's customizable, right?
Yeah, they're very focused on the financial side of it. And I think what we find, which may be different than others, but what we find is there's a lot of people out there that want to do not just financial information, but bring in statistics from somewhere else.
So I'm going to push us through a little bit of this kind of quickly, just because I'd love to make sure we get Carlos some time to be able to talk about his scanner and everything else.
Sure.
Definitely. I mean, the point of this, everybody, was to be able to give you an idea of what he's going to be talking about. He's going to go through, he's going to dive into better detail. So you can actually, you're going to get the chance to see these different programs, in a sense, working in comparison side by side. So you can make a better decision as to where you should invest your time for yourself. So I strongly suggest checking out that session. And then he was going to do this whole CDATA limitation. And as I switch over, I'm going to be the first one to tell you guys that right now, I've been a big super fan of CDATA. I'm pretty grumpy pants at the company right now because of their price increases, everything else. And I'm happy to say it, and super grumpy pants at them. So feel free to do their pricing with the stuff they've done. I think their britches are getting a little too big. They need a better belt to bring them back in. So, but I digress.
And the good news is there's other options out there, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah, I'll be showing some of those in the future too. So Carlos, thank you for your patience on some of this stuff. I wanted to share yours towards the end here because again, we're going to be doing the giveaway on this also. So you got some cool stuff. You've got a different scanner, which I've got when I was as you're talking, I'm going to get it unboxed here to be able to kind of show.
Yeah.
And then, but why don't you
unboxing time?
Yeah, good stuff. No, yeah. So just to get started here, I know Matt had mentioned that we met a couple years ago, and really what I'm trying to do here more, obviously, they pay me to show people products. That's my job. But really what I'm trying to do is, like I said, get to know people, build a sense of community, kind of learn how you guys work with your clients some more, and then see if what we have fits into that and then makes a better experience for you and your clients. So with that said, I'm not going to go over my slides like word by word. More so, I just kind of want to show you what we have. So this is a new scanner that we do have that launched. It's our IX 1300. So one thing to keep in mind when people talk about Fujitsu, that's great. I know Matt's tested our products before. He's super techie. He likes them.
I live by them. We own. Live by them. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, please. Yeah. So, and the reason why that is because we have two sets of scanners, right? So we have our enterprise scanners that, people are going to use at the big companies. And then we have this line, which is our consumer line. This one that you're seeing in front of you, this is our new IX 1300. This actually came from an enterprise scanner that we had that was the exact same style and footprint. And then what we're able to do is we're able to take what we learned from that business intelligence and then put that into our consumer product at a great price. So that's why you get, the great physical product and the great software at the same time. All right. And the big thing about this one is it's compact, right? So what we've done is you see on the left, it has a little U-turn path on it. So traditionally, when you have a scanner, and the majority of our scanners, you put the paper in the back and then it shoots out the front. We have to have a chute on the front that takes up, 8.5 inches, basically, to go ahead and cover that space, or 11 inches. So with this one, with that U-turn path, it's going to pop right back out on top. The other thing where we think this is nice for people in your space is, and anybody here, feel free to tell me, is the return scanning on the front. So if you have cards that you need to do, I know I've talked to some accountants, for some reason they're scanning people's licenses and things of that nature now. If you have anything like that you need to do, Matt, and I don't know if you ran into that situation where you have something that's not really paper. No, okay. But
we
if you do,
chasing for paperwork. We don't have. I mean, I'm actually glad, but yeah. Do you mind if you don't mind unsharing your screen real quick?
Not at all.
It'll give us bigger size. While you're talking about it, I'm just going to be able to kind of show the scanner at the same time.
Yep.
Ernest, do you mind kicking off your video for just a quick sec?
No.
Thank you. We'll go a little bit bigger. Oh, wow. So go ahead and keep talking. I just thought I would be Vanna White here and go, wow.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, that's what we have there as far as that. This is the U-turn. Oh, this is something else that's kind of cool about it as well. Within that too, that little front space that he's showing you, what you can do is, most scanners are going to do, 8.5 by 11. If you do have something that happens to be bigger, you can actually fold it over in half. It'll read the front side and the back side, and then stitch it together for you. Yeah, so if you have like a brochure, you fold it like this, slide it in, reads both of them, but when you get that image up, it's going to be a full image. So the point here is, obviously this is a work tool that we're working at as well, but just for me, I work for the company, but I own a couple of properties. I scan everything that I own for that in through this, and I actually scan everything into Dropbox, and it goes to my accountant for tax season, right? So we do all those types of things as well.
I may be jumping ahead. It's Wi-Fi enabled, everybody. So you can have it set up. It is USB 3 as well. So fast speeds, but it's Wi-Fi enabled. So you can have it set up in an office where multiple people can connect to it instead of having to be hardwired the entire time. WPS connection. 30.
That sounds pretty sexy, Carlos. Why don't you send one over to me?
Not a problem. That's what I'm here to do, is give people scanners today, Ernest. So we're going to talk about how everybody can do one.
So love it. And again, the U-return, the whole point of it is the size of this thing is it drops in, comes right back up the same area. So it doesn't take a big footprint as well, right?
Yep.
So sorry, I'll stop interrupting now.
No. Hey, this is a conversation. I saw a question in the chat came up. Retail is $300 right now. It's just a hair under $300, like $298, somewhere in that. But once again, if you're interested in this, the reason why I'm here today is to give people scanners. So what we can do is, if you are interested, come and see me. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Come and see me at my booth, or get my contact information. That's fine if you can't go to the show. Get my contact information. You can give me a call or set up an email. We can set up some time to talk. I would love to give everybody on this call today a scanner. Don't worry about going out and buying it, and we can talk about what that looks like and how we do it.
You're supposed to tell them this after we do the giveaway and after they come to your booth, my friend. But that's okay.
I know.
So I am gonna. If you want to go back to your presentation, I'm going to tell you real quickly. As you're talking, I'm going to be grabbing the most recent names off of the registration so we can go to our giveaway. So just so you know. But please go ahead back to your thing.
Nope.
And it looks like Stacy, Les, you guys are going to have to fight for it. And Vicky's excited. Donna's upset. Donna, hopefully you're going to win today. So jump on in and tell them all about the cool stuff.
Let me get back here. So we looked at the scanner already. The other cool piece about it is our ScanSnap Home software. And I know Matthew mentioned this, this is what allows all those connections for our vendor partners that we have our integrations with. So HubSpot, HubDoc, Google Drive, Evernote, all those types of companies happens through this. So the nice thing is, you get our software, you get our scanner all in one. It's the only piece of software that you need to run the scanner, but obviously we're going to, allow you to integrate with other softwares, to make it more functional for you. And when you see this here where it says that scan panel, all those little buttons there, that's where you can go in. I put in my ScanSnap credentials. I put in my Dropbox, my Google Drive, my HubDocs credentials. And then what you can do from there is it sets a button. You just hit that button. And then once you set up that profile, that information will land automatically where you want it to. Other nice thing with all of these is, since they are Wi-Fi enabled, like Matt mentioned, once you have that button set up, you can hit it and then it just drops straight there. So you're good to go.
And just a little extra context. So on my YouTube channel, I have a video I did of their other I should know the number. It's right here. The IX other one.
1500.
Sorry, really good promotion there. The color version and everything else, but I actually talk about the different functionality that you're speaking of, the different places you can send stuff to, and the ability to customize your cloud locations. So on my YouTube channel, people can check that part out as well.
Yep. So it'll do all that. So not only that, it also has built-in document recognition as well. So it'll be able to tell whether it's a document that you're scanning, business card, receipt, or a photo. And this is just out of the box. This isn't a setting that you have to set or anything like that. Once again, this is business intelligence. This line of scanners has been up and running for 20 years. So it's 20 years of improvements to get us to this point, to minimize the amount of work you have to do to scan that information in, and then maximize what you get out of it.
You guys use, if I remember correctly, are you using, is it Abby Fine Reader on the backside, which OCR has been something I've really studied for quite some time because I don't want to do a lot of work and I'm trying to find an easier way. And Abby's one of the best ones out there. So you guys your engine's powered by some great stuff. Yeah.
And then the software we're going to talk about too after this is also powered by Abby on the back end as well. So that's a great intro, and it's doing OCR there as well. Yeah. So not only can you do all your scanning, you can scan and send it directly to email or print, as a lot of people do. You can convert now. This is a new feature that we have, convert directly to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint from your scan. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can set your profiles so you're good to go there. One nice thing that we have as well, and especially when we look at this model, the 1300, because it is compact and it is portable. I wouldn't go so far as to say mobile. It's not something you're always going to throw in your bag, but if you need to take it with you somewhere, you can do that. Through that Wi-Fi capability, we have our ScanSnap Connect application as well. So what you can do there is you can download that application onto your phone or onto your tablet. And if you were in a situation where you had to be out in the field for some reason, but you needed to scan information, you can scan it. You don't need to take your computer with you. You can save that directly to your phone as a PDF as well. So, just a little bit more functionality that we have there. And then also too, taking advantage of that Wi-Fi that we have again. And this is just showing the same thing there, showing that you can get that set up and then scan to, whatever you need to directly from the scanner and not have to actually necessarily hit the computer. All right. So that is the scanner. I think kind of the more exciting piece, or the new piece that we have, is what we're calling ScanSnap for Invoice. So this is our new invoice processing. I know Matt had mentioned that Ernest had helped him with some software earlier. Matt actually helped us with this software a little bit earlier this year as well. I was working with my software team. We were just having him preview it just to get some feedback, and my developer had some questions, and Matt really gave us some good information that we used there to help build this product. So all around good guy, if you guys didn't know that already. So as we mentioned, Matthew, it does utilizes Abby Flexi Capture technology in the back end. So what this is going to do is you're going to scan, and it does require a ScanSnap scanner to use this software. But once you scan it in, what we do is we pull it up, we send it over to their Abby Flexi Capture in the cloud. They actually do the OCR on it then. And then what it's going to allow you to do is pull that down. You can save that back to the desktop. You can send it to Quickbooks Online right now, but eventually you're going to have different repositories that you can send it to as well. We just started with QBO at this point as our first repository. So it's going to be strictly for invoices at this point. Obviously works with QBO, and then certified for our current scanner line. So any scanner that we have that's out there, whether it's existing or new, it's going to work with that. All right. And then this is an exclusive from us. You would buy it from our Fujitsu scanner store.
So would you, kind of another question for you. This seems like it would be a phenomenal scanner, not only for us, but really for our clients is what I would say. Like it's a very cost effective. It's not we need the super big fancy one because, well, we like those kind of tools too and everything, but with the touchscreens. But this one is a solid workhorse, gets the job done, and it's reliable, that if you can get it into the workflow of your clients, then they're going to be able to do more of the work to free us up on time. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that's the idea, and that's why I'm presenting here today. What we're trying to do is to develop. So, and obviously, correct me where I'm wrong here, but when you're working mainly in QuickBooks, you're going to have your clients working QuickBooks, right? And that's going to make everything be more efficient and work easier and stay in that ecosystem. We're trying to build into that ecosystem, and eventually, what we'd like to see is people for every client that they bring on. And I've heard of some people who do this already. Hey, for all my clients, and it's more for folks that are on retainers. And please, once again, forgive me. I'm not an accountant if I'm butchering anything here. But for folks they have on retainers, what they'll do is they'll say, hey, part of that that you get is I send you a ScanSnap, and they'll do it. We didn't have the software before, but what we'd really like to do is build that combination is, hey, come on as one of my clients. What we're going to do is we're going to have you use this software. And then once again, that takes even more work out of your hands, right? And lets them do it, but lets them do it so they don't have to manage it either. Now they just all they have to do is scan their documents. They can put it into our ScanSnap for invoice. Boom, everything's into QuickBooks, and now it's a lot easier for everybody. So Matt, that's exactly what we're trying to pull out. And then you can see here, it'll pull out the vendor name, address, all the information you need, invoice number, invoice data, tax accountants, and line items as well. So anything you need, we'll go in there and pull that information for you.
There's a question in the chat, Carlos, about whether that goes to items or just to the GL account.
Oh, that is a good question. It goes, we just fixed this. You know what? Give me a little bit more on that. I know we had issues getting it into items directly at the first time. I think it might be GL right now. If it's not into items yet, in the next version, it will be.
So Ernest, thank you for drawing attention to these real quick. One of the other questions Hector was asking is, again, semantics with language. So when we're talking invoices, us accountants, invoice, we're thinking invoice going to a customer. In other words, accounts receivable. You're talking about vendor bills. So really, but it's a good thing because the bills is what we need to capture because we'd be creating the invoices already in the system. So that helps. And then taking it back to the initial question of like the items and such, this is an area that's always so difficult with a lot of the different companies is trying to, can you scan and grab that stuff, but then actually reference to the line items is such a difficult thing. And I know that your team's been kind of working towards that part because it's the matching part can be tough. If it's wrong on something from a vendor, it's hard to like actually match it to something in QuickBooks.
Right. Yeah. And I know, like I said, I know they've done a lot of work on it. I don't know if it's 100% yet, but the great thing is we do have free trials for this as well. So you can always use it. And then if that's missing, that's feedback that you can give back to me that we can improve, and kind of move forward from there.
And they are super interested in that. Actually, so we've got some people that Les was asking if they already have like an IX 1500, they can still use this software on the other units as well, right?
Absolutely. Totally
cool. Thank you.
Yep. Cool. All right.
I agree, Hector. Item mapping is almost an impossible task. Almost. Yep. I agree. Very tough.
Just on the flow right here, you can see that it's going to go from the scanner. It goes through home, like we mentioned, goes up to Flexi Capture. One thing that we added into, and this was based on feedback when we were developing the product, is making sure, obviously, that anybody who uses it can QA before they send it over. So it doesn't drop automatically in. It's going to bring up what it's going to deposit for you first. To make sure that it's everything that you want in, and give you a chance to correct at that point before you commit it. So that is absolutely built in as well. So it's a good thing we have these slideshows up because they remind me of stuff sometimes.
These tools are there for a reason. Right?
Yeah. So that's really kind of the deal. That's what it is. Monthly subscription is $24.99 for 60 invoices a month. But that is for clients and customers. 50%, 50 pages overage fee for additional, and then available for customers in the US. It's Windows only right now. Trial subscription.
Sorry, Linda. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Right now, we're working on Mac, and then you can do a trial subscription as well. The difference is, though, for anybody on this call, Matt, if you want to learn more, come see me at my booth, and I will tell you about a specific account that we can set up for you that's outside of anything that we have listed here. This is standard stuff, but for anybody who's interested in trying the product and possibly becoming a promoter for it, we have a promoter account that I can talk to you about as well.
Yep. So truly, I mean, guys, that's the reason we try to bring people on like we do. Carlos, I really, really appreciate you coming in and sharing this stuff. It's about trying to give back to the community as well. And, you know, it's opportunities like this, working with companies that, with Fujitsu that have helped me throughout my entire career. As I like to say, it's bootstrapping your business 101, right? Like you gotta bust your hustle to try to get where you can get, and making these relationships, giving back to them at the same time is great. So, total side note tangent, something I don't think I've ever told you before, Carlos, is so Fujitsu used to have a car audio line as well. And they had a company was called Eclipse.
I remember them.
The best, hands down, best car audio radios in the market. I'm so disappointed they still don't exist. Used to sell the crap out of those things. So love Fujitsu. Anyways. So guys, what booth are you going to be at again when you're out there?
Booth 47. The booth will be Fujitsu. The product ScanSnap. Look for the Fujitsu booth. Like I said, come talk to me. We'd like to get you guys to start bundling this stuff out to people, and I'd love to tell you more about how we can get that done.
Cool. And after the show, everybody, we will do a follow-up as like a little bit more of a singular session with it. I do have an important poll that I wanted to ask everybody real quick because Les did a phenomenal job reminding me, and then we're going to jump into the giveaway, which is now set up. So my poll for today is all about Joe's boots. Interested. So if you guys know, Ernest and I have basically been razzing Joe, and I hope Joe, Elizabeth, you need to get tagged in this, send it over to Joe. We've been trying to razz him and make him have to wear his cowboy boots because he made a mistake talking about it. So interested in hearing the community's thoughts on how important it is for Joe Woodard to be wearing cowboy boots during scaling new heights. So we'd love to get everybody voting. It's either, I love the last one, how can you host a show in Texas without boots, right? It'd be fun during a social event, but not during work. And then Joe's too soft for wearing boots. That one's pretty funny. So got full thing there. So Joe, you can't see this video, so I'm going to tell you the moment that everybody 100% said that you should be wearing boots. Of course, it's actually 75%, but don't tell them. So,
83 on the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. So hopefully this was some good information. You've had a great time with it. Who wants to win a scanner today? If you do, give me some comments and saying yes, yes, please. And I've got all the names in. Nobody? Ernest, I guess you get to take it home.
Yeah. I use it for the American Legion, man. Those guys are horrible with receipts. So
let's do this bad boy. So I've got our lucky random name generator pulled up here. People that are here, we're going to shuffle these up a couple times so everything's fair and even, and click and boom. This is such a cool thing. Makes it so much easier.
Oh, I like that. Wheel of names, huh?
Yeah, Mom, sorry, you are not eligible. Larry, you are the winner, my friend. And you know what I got to say, Larry, you are consistently on here every single week. So congratulations. I appreciate everybody who joins us, of course. But congratulations, Larry. We will get your contact information and get you all set up to get that out to you. So Ken, I was worried you were going to win, but I'm win both prizes. Everything I'd be like fixing it. So, all right. So last couple quick moments here. I am going to be semi-selfish real quick and share with everybody on my sessions that I've got going on here real fast, just when they are and such. Where'd it go? Oh, maybe not. Maybe. There we go. Get to the right slide. Epic fail.
That's okay. We all know that I was really impressed with, what did you get, 5 sessions last year?
No, it was more than that last year. This year I'm trying to take it easy and do a whole bunch of other stuff. So here we go. So I've got a couple basic sessions going on. This is going to be a fun one. How to get started providing workflow design advisory services. So we're going to be talking about what is workflow design? How do you get started into it? And I'm going to share some examples of workflows I've created. So it should be great. Another one is going to be, and this is going to be 2-parter on purpose, tracking project profitability with QuickBooks Online, projects, QuickBooks Online Payroll, and Time. First one's going to be kind of an overview of the details of it. So if you're familiar with those, first one's kind of that intro. Part 2 is going to be the more advanced, where we start talking about like diving in, using the hourly cost calculator, so forth. So that should be 2 very good sessions. Then I've also got, this is one I'm really excited about, is capturing more clients through Google My Business. Anybody who knows me knows I'm very outspoken about using Google My Business. SEO is a key thing to keep building up your recognition, gathering, you want to make sure that the browsers see your company. So we'll be sharing that as well as some other do-it-yourself tactics to help you grow your company. And then the last one I've also got is with good friend Linda, that we're going to be doing our role play your way to advisory. This is a great one where basically everybody gets to pick on me on stage, and we role play our way into advisory. I get to pretend to be the accountant. You get to be the horrible client and give me a hard time. But we'll walk through some examples of recognizing how to spot advisory opportunities and the benefits, so you can get, make some money off of it all. So I hope you guys will check out our different sessions. Ernest, I've got your information showing at the moment. What's the best way for everybody to contact you, my friend?
Oh, well, I'm still pretty up with the phone and the email. Certainly, I'm on Facebook more than I should be, but
you had me at phone, lost me at email. And Carlos, my friend, how about you? The best way for people to connect to you besides seeing you at the booth?
Yeah.
QB Community Live, of course.
Yeah. Besides that, anything really, phone is good. Email, I'm in my email constantly at work, but I'm on LinkedIn all the time too. Facebook is probably the channel I'm on the least. Not that I won't get it. That's how me and Matt reconnected and started talking a little bit more. But yeah, I would say, any of them though. That's what they pay me to do, is sit in front of my computer and make sure I'm getting messages and talking to people. So I'm available whenever anybody wants to talk.
I will say the worst way to get a hold of me is Facebook Messenger.
That's the best way to get a hold of me usually.
I know.
So yeah, as always, each of these episodes, I put them up on the QB Community Live website. You can actually get a copy of the presentation, downloadable. All the contact information's there. You can click it, link it, go through all that kind of stuff, of course. Obviously, we're going to have a little bit of a unique scheduling for the next couple weeks. Scaling New Heights, I'm leaving on the 20th, so I can pretend to do a working vacation, get there a little early. So on the Thursday, the 21st, I'm still working to have this show, but it's going to be live from Scaling New Heights. I'll find some people there. I haven't actually set it all up yet, so we'll figure out who's going to be there, because that'll be pre-show. And then the next week after that, we'll do something sooner during the show itself, but the following Thursday I'll be traveling, so we won't be doing something specific that week unless I have somebody who wants to fill in for me, that we can do that. But just know if we take a little break, it's because we're going out doing all this fun stuff, and then of course we'll be coming back. So as always, everybody, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Hope everybody had a great time, and as I always like to say, here's wishing you all a very successful week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.